Action.
Hi everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Hannah, and I'm glad to see that everybody else had kind of like a non-traditional pathway when it comes to schooling, because I also had a non-traditional pathway. I got a communications degree in 2012 from the University of Evansville, go Purple Aces, and then I got a BS in biology in 2019. The only reason I got my first degree was thanks to a swimming scholarship, so I felt like, pay tuition, I have to go, right? And initially it was nursing. It only took the first semester for me to realize that was not my cup of tea. So I switched to something that I thought would be easy, quote unquote, which was communications. You can see how excited I am. And while I was taking that degree, I obviously wasn't very sold on communications. So I ended up, avoiding reality, I went to Hilton Head Island, where I worked on the beach for what was supposed to be just one summer, and it turned into 5 years. But I am very grateful for this opportunity because I learned a lot about just the ecosystem, environmental regulations, and it taught me a lot of responsibility and discipline. So with that, I actually ended up going back to school to get my biology degree in 2019. And here I learned more about beachfront and regulations and what is the research that goes into that policy. And because I thought I did so well in organic chemistry, I thought I'd torture myself more and go for a master's degree. Initially, I thought that the master's degree was going to be marine biology. This is what I thought I would be doing. And as I was looking around, I looked at Charleston, and that's when I stumbled across the concurrent EVSS MPA program. And when I was looking into that EVSS program, it just seemed more suited for my lifestyle. If I ever wanted to go back to the Midwest and see my family, it just seemed more realistic. And at that point, the MPA program just kind of seemed like an added bonus, to be quite frank with everybody. It was something that I thought would help with environmental regulations that I learned on the beach, actually, because that was a lot of what we did was tell tourists why certain things were, like dune production and turtles, and it was much easier to explain to tourists and people in general why these regulations were here instead of just saying, hey, this is just why the town says it's so. So with that background, I started the program, again, initially thinking that it was something that would just stand out on a resume and get me ahead in the job field. And my first semester, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little skeptical because I have such a heavy research background, I wasn't sure if I'd made the right choice. But I can confidently say now that I'm here at this point, I did make the right choice. And that was thanks to a series of different aha moments is what I'm calling them. I'm sure everybody's had them when you're sitting in class and you're just like, oh yeah, that's it. And so I wanted to break down those moments in relation to the competencies, but I just first want to start off, the very first moment was actually strength finders in Kendra's class. That was the first time I actually had like a teacher had us look introspectively and actually use our strengths in the field, and that was the first moment I was like, I'm here, I'm in the right program, I'm going with it. So then after that, the next competency that was related to, or that made me realize it was a good program that I wanted to complete was in Dr. Bedard's class, the Managing Financial Resources, and he taught us leadership tools, specifically budgets, how we can communicate that and be transparent with our community through budgets. And then the next one was related to competency 2 in the public policy course, where I was able to actually look back on Rachel Carson's Silent Spring and see how just that book impacted environmental policies and how it's evolved, specifically related to water, but environmental policies in general. And then the third competency was in Dr. Quast's research methods for public administration. It really helped me transform my background in research science, or the scientific process for public administration, and how that's involved in the decision-making process. And then the fourth one, I'm sorry. This really helped me to understand how in every single one of those steps we need public involvement in that, and you don't get community respect if you don't get community involvement in that, and you don't get any solutions to any issues that are happening. And then the fifth one was if you have a organization that is biased, it's going to show in that policy and it's going to affect the community in general. So you have to look through your organization and see if there's any bias and hope that doesn't affect your community. And then my last aha moment was when we had a discussion about transformational versus transactional leadership. And if I had known this when I was working on the beach as a manager, this would have helped me a ton, and we could have saved a lot of employees. So this is something I'll just take forward with me. And then I also wanted to end by talking about the capstone class in general. We read so many good books, or we read 3 good books, and we had really good class discussions. And it just was a very vulnerable and transparent situation, but in a good way. And so I just wanted to end on talking about Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, where he says, greatness is not a function of circumstance. Greatness, it turns out, is largely a matter of conscious choice and discipline. That was his final line in the book. And that really stuck with me because just looking around everybody that made it to this point, we all got to this point because of choice and discipline that we did. So I know that we're all going to go on to do great things, and I'm really excited to see what we all do. And I just want to say thank you to our professors for pushing us along, and my peers for all the moral support. And I'm excited to see what everybody does. So yeah, thank you.